TCI is brought to you by Spendthrift Farm, home of Malibu Moon, AP Indy's leading son year after year.
Welcome back to TCI, your inside track to the Breeders' Cup. Alongside Joel Cunningham, I'm John Siegel. You know, Joel, this is the show we've been waiting for. Today is the pick show for the Breeders' Cup. You know what? There's so many divisions to really talk about, so many horses we've been following for a long time. Today what we're going to do, we're just going to talk about 6 major divisions. We're going to put the rest of the picks inside of our flip book, which has actually become quite popular.
Yeah, so if you have not signed up for it, please do so. I mean, we'll have little 1-minute videos on all 14 divisions, John. So if you're interested in our analysis and our picks, we can provide it at that point. But obviously in this show, so you don't click off, you stay the whole time and watch it, we're only going to go through what we consider the best 6 races.
All right, well, let's go through these quickly, and let's start off on Friday, where we're going to see the Dirt Mile. You know, this is a race, Joel, that is kind of that in-between. It's not the Classic, it's not the Sprint, it's that in-between race. But What's interesting this year is that there's horses who have actually planned on running in this race for a while.
And I think that's the key, because normally, you know, when you look at the Dirt Mile, it's horses that just didn't make the Classic. They lost form or weren't good enough. I mean, when you go back and really take a look at it, John, so when I look at the Dirt Mile, and I've seen all the long shots in recent years, which probably happened because all the favorites just didn't run so well, and then you have horses like, you know, Tapazar, and I can think of Jerry Hollendorfer's colt a couple years ago at Churchill, just lighting up the tote board in this race. So long shots do well in here. But you mentioned a key thing, pointing for this race. Verrazano has pointed for this race since his connections realized in the Travers that he was not a 1.25 mile horse.
Right.
It's his last race. You know they want to get a good effort out of him, a win going into his breeding career. He should love a 2-turn mile, and quite frankly, he's just the best among this group from a talent standpoint. He has that tactical speed that between him and Golden Sense, it'll be a tactical race early on, but I just like Verrazano's quality at a 2-turn mile. And again, the fact that they pointed for this gives me the indication that he can fire an A-plus performance as opposed to it being a default race for him.
All right, let's move now to the Distaff. Joel, it's the marquee race on Friday. You know, not a lot of horses in here, but a lot of good horses as far as quality. You know, you see Royal Delta back in here. Do you think she's back in form, and do you think she's going to win this race?
I think she's back in form. I liked her breeze in New York before she came over. You know, she rarely throws 2 clunkers in a row, John. We know she likes Santa Anita, and she's developed that high cruising speed as she's gotten older. And this will be another majorly tactical race because it's only 6 horses in here. So I think the jockeys are really going to be integral in the outcome of this race. I think Beholder's naturally quicker. So I see Beholder getting the lead. At what point down the backstretch does Mike Smith go after Beholder? When she gets that long cruising stride of hers, at what point? And then when those two engage, how much does it take out of each other? I think that is critical to the outcome of this race. And I want to show a key race. We'll do that for the Distaff. We'll do it for the Classic.
Okay.
So we'll go now to the Twin Spires TV race replay. And I think it's the Zenyatta Stakes. Last month at this track, but it was only a mile and a 16th. And you see Beholder, she got such an easy lead in here, John, that she won easily.
Right.
This is her home track. We know she likes Santa Anita. Can she get an extra 16th of a mile with Royal Delta softening her up? I like the filly that runs second to her. Runs well over the track. Her name is Authenticity, John. She's been knocking on the door all year. You saw her close ground there, even though there's no way she was going to catch your winner. The fact that Beholder got the trip that day behind a pretty easy control pace. I think the fact that Beholder won't get that trip, neither will Royal Delta. They'll be going against each other. I think it sets up for Johnny V to save ground, find a seam, and Authenticity can get that breakthrough, in my opinion. To me, she's a small price play in a 6-horse field.
All right, well, let's move now then to Saturday, and let's start off with Wise Dan in the mile. Joel, this horse, he's back. He's really running well this year. Do you think he gets it done this year in the Breeders' Cup?
I do. You know, you talked about Royal Delta, and could she be a repeat winner, actually a 3-time winner? And there are a lot of horses going for repeats. You know, Groupie Doll, certainly. There are other horses in here. And how many repeat winners will we get from last year? I'm saying Royal Delta is the best horse, but she's not going to repeat. I think Wise Dan is by far the best horse in this race. It's not as good of a group as he faced last year. I don't think there's any concern for his polytrack loss last time out. He actually scored very well in the speed figures, regardless of it being a wet surface that day. Wise Dan, in my opinion, has such an edge over this field. I think he's your winner in here. He'll be one of those to carry the banner as a repeat winner.
All right, well, let's stay on the turf, and let's talk about the turf. It's another opportunity for a repeat winner. Of course, I'm talking about Little Mike in here. Joel, what do you think of his chances to repeat?
I think he's going to repeat too, John, and I think it's simply He faces a quality group in here, horses that are as good or better than him, but the difference is that he's back in form. His indication of his last race last time at Belmont, John, you see it here to where he held off Big Blue Kitten. Really proved to me he's back in form, and the tactical edge is the key. The fact that there's not a lot of speed in here. You look at the race, and Dwayne Lucas has a long shot, a horse that could, certainly give him a test early, but he's not good enough to really run with Little Mike, in my opinion. So over that course, Little Mike gets loose. I think it's going to be very hard for the Fugue, Real Solutions, some of these quality closers to run him down.
All right, well, let's move now then and talk about the Juvenile, Joel. We always see these exciting 2-year-olds this time of year. I want to know, which Juvenile do you think is going to win?
Well, I've been given a lot of favorites, so now I'm going to give a long shot, John, because when I look at this Juvenile field, I like Havana, I like Tappet Rich from a quality standpoint,
right?
But to me, it's wide open. I hated Havana's draw. When you look at the fact he drew outside with all the speed around him, he's going to have to try to carve out some sort of trip first time around 2 turns. I have to bet against him, John, even though he might be the best horse. Tappet Rich, love the talent, absolutely love it, but judging from his past workout and the fact that he just broke his maiden 2 weeks ago, was green in both of them, it's hard for me to see him taking the dirt, making a move on Santa Anita's track and running all these down. It's hard for me to see that, not that he can't do it. I'm going to go with Rum Point. He might be 30 to 1 in the race, John, but you look at his best race, it was on the cushion track. First time out from a numbers standpoint. That was a quality maiden race. He was close in. Came back, broke his maiden. They obviously liked him. They thought enough of him to ship him to Keeneland. I thought he ran sneaky good that day. First time blinkers. I think his pedigree is better suited for dirt, and I love the way he breezed on the dirt against an older horse. He's had enough, who had some quality last year. Rum Point at around 30 to 1. To me, he's the long shot play of the day.
All right, well, let's move now to the Classic. It's the marquee race of the whole event. Joel, we see a lot of good horses here. Game On Dude's on good form. Mucho Macho Man's in good form. We see horses like Painter, Ron the Greek. We talked about this last week, and that there's a good mix of every style in this race. But the big question is, who do you think wins the Breeders' Cup Classic?
This is the main event, right? I battle back and forth. I think Game On Dude is the best horse, John, but I cannot see Game On Dude going 1.25 miles without getting the contentious pace pressure of Fort Larned and Moreno. And to me, he's not going to be able to fire his best race with those 2 horses also contending the pace with him. So I'm going from somebody in the second flight, and that's Mucho Macho Man. I'm, very concerned. When you look at the concerns with him, the lines in his PPs. Can he fire 2 big races back to back? But I think they have him right now. I loved his local prep in the Awesome Again, where he just blew out Painter. I consider Painter for this race, but the fact that he blows out Painter here, we'll go to the Twin Spires TV race replay, and you just see here, Gary Stevens, who's back aboard him in here, just puts major lengths on the field, and Painter is a horse that I loved in the Awesome Again. I want to pick Painter back in this race, but I can't do it. This horse is too good right now. If he fires back this race, I don't think they're going to beat him, John. I think the pace is going to fold up. He'll take the lead at the 8th pole, and if he gets the lead at the 8th pole, he's never lost in a race. So I think Mucho Macho Man is the horse in here, but I do think there'll be enough pace that watch out for Flat Out, Ron the Greek, 2 very similar horses in there. I think Ron the Greek's better at 1.25 miles, but Flat Out has a little more speed to stay in contention early. So what a great classic it should be. I'll give the edge to Mucho Macho.
All right, thank you, Joel. Thank you for your picks. Thank you guys for watching. Like we said, sign up for that flip book to get the rest of the divisions. Make sure you come back next week. We'll let you know our impressions on the Breeders' Cup and who we think is going for championship honors.
$30,000 are up for grabs thanks to the TwinSpires.com Breeders' Cup Trifectathon. 3 winning trifectas could earn you a share of $30,000. But only when you bet the Breeders' Cup at TwinSpires.com, where players win.